we talked about the revenge suicide. And I had a couple questions here. I just thought maybe we kind of go over, and you talked about what the revenge suicide is. So it's kind of the last act of I'm gonna get you
Mhm,
one last time.
mhm.
That's probably
Yes.
what I also think about. And this is horrible. Is this is the dads that take the kids and do stuff like that?
100%.
Oh my God.
100%. It's the exact same dynamic. After the death, I was trying to make sense of why would he do this. I mean, it just seems so bizarre to me the way he hung himself in the dining room and
Ugh.
left a big poster for me, and the room was dark and he had a spotlight shining on his body. So it was really a horror
Wow.
movie that he had staged. And he, of all people, knew how sensitive I am. I'm an incredibly sensitive person. And he knew that I think he was hoping that this would kill
Yeah.
me. And so I contacted all these different researchers on suicide. And what I learned was that, we always think it's depressed people. And
Yeah.
about 50% of the time, it is depressed
Only
people. And those
50%?
50%, those are the people we want to get into treatment. We want to get them on an antidepressant or whatever is going to help bring them out of that dark
Right.
place. But the other percentages are broken down into a few other categories. One is people who are in chronic pain or terminally
Yeah.
ill, and they're just tired of
Yeah.
it. And so it's coming out of a rational place.
Hmm.
They're just done.
Hmm.
And then another percentage are psychotic. And those are people who are just hallucinating and they're
Mm.
schizophrenic. They're not in their right mind. They may think they're God, so they jump out of a window and die. But if they were not in that psychotic state, they never would have
Hmm.
chosen to kill themselves. And then the final category are the men who do some kind of revenge when a woman is trying to leave the relationship. And the first way, the subcategories of that are he kills himself in front of her or kills himself where she will be the one to walk in and find the body. And then the next category is he kills her or the kids and then kills himself. And so you can see how, in that category, the goal is rage, vengeance,
Oh
control.
God.
There was one woman in the last women's group I did in 2020, and a man she was divorcing, I think it was a 10-year marriage, older couple, and he was so enraged and so angry, he drove 50 miles in the middle of the night and rang her doorbell, and he had a shotgun, and when she opened the door, he didn't shoot her, he just shot himself in the
Oh
head
my
right in front of
God.
her. And so when you look at that, you can see there's aggression here.
Hmm.
This is not depression. This is rage and anger and cruelty. And I think there's a lot of therapists who aren't very well trained in understanding that aspect of it because so many people said to me, oh, well, he must have been so depressed. The man never had a day of depression in his life. He didn't do depression, he did rage.
Hmm.
And I think for women who go through that, it can be kind of gaslighting and crazy making when people talk about, oh, the poor man. It's like we don't need to hear, oh, the poor man.
Yeah.
We need to hear, you are the victim here because this was an act of aggression.
Yeah, we definitely need because I've never heard of this. Now, I thought back, I did know a woman at one of the places that I worked at, and her boyfriend shot himself right in front of her.
Right in front of.
Right in front of
Yep.
her. I mean, and so, but I had never heard the term revenge suicide. So you're right. We do
Yeah.
need to get that out, that message out
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, because it's very different from the other types of
Yes.
suicide. And when we're working with survivors of it, the kinds of things you say to someone whose husband was just in a major depressive disorder, it's very different from the person whose husband shot himself right in front of her,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
different process and their responses are different. Because I remember feeling like at the time it was surreal. I couldn't believe he had done this. I couldn't believe I walked in on this scene. And I remember saying to the detective who came out, I said, this feels mean.
Ooh.
And it didn't make sense to me. And he looked at me and said, yes, this was mean. So the detective understood it.